Welcome. Another episode of the Maine State of Mind.
Yeah.
I'm Justin.
I'm Adam.
We're going to talk. We talked about this episode was going to be about cryptocurrency, but I think we're going to touch on cryptocurrency, but it's going to be more digital assets, more digital collections, digital trading. You did make a point in our Slack channel that the idea of talking about a market doesn't make sense unless this is live or like going up today saying tomorrow this IPO is going to go
and it's
public.
Crypto, so 2 weeks from now is in like about 20 years in real time.
Yes. So we won't go too far into that, but we'll go into a little bit of detail on cryptocurrency, digital assets, NFTs, blockchain, a lot of nerd stuff, a lot of stuff that might get confusing people. But and we're not experts at all.
God, no. And please don't take anything I say with any level of authority at all. If we really boil it down right now, I'm super into trading JPEGs with other people for monies. And that's weird.
Isn't it OnlyFans?
What's that? That's my other side hustle. Yeah.
You trading JPEGs for money? That sounds like you're selling sexting pictures.
I make more money on that side hustle, but it's weird. Yeah. But no, we've been talking about this cryptocurrency bit for a while, and I was thinking, I'm Justin's into crypto, and I'm way more into crypto than I probably should be at times. But we've been talking about it, and we've talked about different things to do. And I think we'll say we're going to start kind of with crypto, but I think everybody just thinks crypto and they're like, oh, Bitcoin. Yeah. But man, there's like a whole world there's video games, there's digital collectibles, there's art, there's all this fun stuff. And I think at the same time, that's all crypto. Yes. So that's like that. I think for most people, though, like the trading card, the collectible, the art thing, that's a way more like, I don't know what's the word, mentally digestible thing than saying like, well, you're buying this thing.
Yes.
I mean,
yes. It's a crazy world. It's an insane world. And let's get into it. So one of the things I will say is that cryptocurrency is digital money.
Yes,
this is really easy to say thing. And we had an argument, but a friendly discussion with my dad.
Me too.
About how stupid it is, or he said how stupid it is.
Yep.
Love you, Dad, but it's he couldn't understand. He goes, he wishes we were back on the gold standard, that everything.
Oh yeah.
Like you just paid with gold, and there was gold and all this stuff. I'm like, digital currency, I almost trust more because there's actual the blockchain helps you back it up. It makes it realistic. It makes it there, even though you're not.
Well, there you go. That's a great little starting point, like you said. So like really all of this comes down to the blockchain. Mm-hmm. I mean, even when we say, crypto, of course, we're referring to cryptography and these incredibly encrypted things that require massive computing power. We've heard of mining and blah, blah, blah. But all of this is really the blockchain, which in the most simplest terms is it's a distributed ledger of transactions. If we did it in the physical world, you and I would write a transaction down.
Yep.
That transaction would be copied to 100 ledgers, given out to 100 people. Everybody has a copy. 99 people can die or their house can burn down, which is not going to happen, right? But like, there's still a record. But then say I come into the picture and I'm like, oh yeah, well actually, like I made $20,000 here. You put that in.
Yeah.
Well, like the other tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of copies of that ledger that are verifying, yours is out. Yeah. It doesn't match
because it doesn't match.
And so I think that's the part that it's the blockchain, which is it's a distributed ledger that as it grew on Ethereum actually becomes a distributed computing system. It's a world computer that can execute code. And that brings us boom to, like I said, the sky's the limit of what we can do with it.
Yes.
And I think that's the fun part. And I think it's the part, honestly, that people aren't telling, like you said, like my dad too, I've had that discussion and it isn't even, like I said, it isn't even like he's like, that makes no sense to me. And here's the thing, it makes no sense to a lot of people.
Yes.
So I feel like, explaining to people all the things we can do with it, and that we're not talking about money. We're talking about a distributed computer web 3.0 that's going to replace the current system.
And I think if you go back on it just quickly, as I said, we were not going to talk a lot on Bitcoin and Ethereum and all those other cryptocurrencies out there, because again, they fluctuate so much, and it is very simple. It's a digital currency.
Yes.
Like this is good. So it started years ago, obviously, and I think part of it is people think of it more of the black market, think of it more of a how you trade in arms.
Sure.
But which can be used, but so can money, cash. The reason why a lot of people take cash instead of actual like online transactions or checks is because they're trying to be shady as well. So there's
the overwhelming majority of illegal activity in the world is still U.S. dollars.
Yeah. So like cash versus digital cryptocurrency doesn't make any difference if you're trying to elicit things. But the question my dad always was like, oh, what the hell is all this and so on. It's like, when you make a transfer on your bank account, it's all digital, right? No one goes to a bank or a savings bank and takes the money out of your bank account and moves it over to another bank account. It's done digitally. Yes. And so there's no difference in that.
And I think that you just hit, while the iron's hot, nail on the head there, which is your money right now. I'm not saying that this system isn't incredibly secure, incredibly complicated. Yes. It is a ledger system. Yes. It's just not a distributed ledger. And that's the big thing in crypto. It means it's centralized. So you can say all you want, my money's here. It's true. Yeah. But there's a person that has to let you access your money. Yes. And if you want to move that money, that person can say, well, it's going to take a week cross border and it's going to cost you like $50. Yep. And that's the heart of the crypto is people are saying though, like, but it's my money. Yes. Like, I just want to like, if Justin says to me, hey, buy my cool JPEG I just made, and I send him the money with a smart contract, I'm going to get my JPEG because the contract won't execute unless you give me the JPEG. And so that's then the next step is the Ethereum after Bitcoin, which then says, instead of just mining this currency on the blockchain, we've developed a blockchain that can execute code. And that code can be written in the form of contracts that define the nature of the relationship with no trust involved. So that's your next thing you'll hear of anybody is the trustless system. Yeah. Which at first sounds, I think we need a better word for it. People are like, trustless, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it sounds awful.
What people mean, you'll hear it a lot with trustless, is you don't have to trust that anyone will make that transaction happen. Yeah. And whether or not you think that's the case in legacy banking, it's not. Like it.
You mentioned it's more secure and more trust. There's more trust in it than buying and selling something on eBay. Right. Because on eBay, you buy this product. Like I had this a couple of weeks ago. I sold a comic book that had the first appearance of Abomination in it, and the trailer had just released for Shang-Chi, which had a fighting thing in there with Abomination. Right? For those who don't know comic books, you should if you listen to this podcast. But Abomination is a Hulk villain. Similar to if Hulk was big and green and all that stuff. But it's a first appearance. I bought it on Midtown Comics, which is a comics website based out of New York City. The shops in New York in Manhattan. And I bought it for $25. Immediately after this trailer dropped, it went up to $200 and something. I sold it for $265 on eBay. Immediately was like, crap, this guy's going to screw me. Like immediately. Yep. Because I'm like, I'm going to put it in a box. And there's a very common thing nowadays on eBay where someone puts it in the mail and they open up the box. They take pictures of it, empty box. That I sent them the empty box. Yep. And 99.9% of the time, eBay sides with the buyer, which is kind of ridiculous in the same sense because it puts all the power in their end. And so like I immediately went to send it out. And I'm like, I don't trust that this person's going to. They paid me immediately. But that doesn't mean they won't get the money back.
Reversed,
because yes, they won't get it reversed. And eBay doesn't say you need to refund this money. They just go, we're taking that money. And so I trust this system like Ethereum way more than I do something like eBay because again, you don't get the item until the money gets there. There's a there's something involved. There's a contract involved that there really isn't in something like Facebook Marketplace or Venmo or any of these other places that you send in transactions on.
Yeah, and I think too. I mean, for everybody listening, like Justin just said, is that you can. And I think maybe you and I've talked about this divide right now of like when we say like we really trust the Ethereum, right? Yeah. Ethereum's still building, right? Correct. They're not even to they're not even to 2.0 version yet. And so I'm like my thing immediately is like I'm not telling you that I trust anything about this system. I'm not telling you to trust it. I'm not telling you it's going to be here in a year, but maybe for you too because you're a very like tech forward person. But my thing is I see something in it that's not going to go away. Correct. No matter what you want to go away. There's a part of it. Web 3.0 is not going away. Yeah.
And we've learned that computers won't crash because we learned Y2K that.
Yes, you were fine. And now the computers are just out there in the world existing. You don't even need one. So, you're just on the virtual computer.
It's insane. But so if we get to more the collectible aspect of this, which is what we pretty much, you and I are probably going to be focusing mostly on in our lives. We do. I mean, you own Bitcoin, you own Ethereum. I own Bitcoin. I own Ethereum. I own some Dogecoin still. Freaking
Yeah, and when the market's ripping, I occasionally jump in.
My Dogecoin has been 50% down right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like over 50% down right now.
I occasionally jump in and day trade and swing trade, but not now. I'm just kind of hanging out.
Well, I'm hanging out too because of freaking. I can't sell anything for profit right now.
But right now, right now, I'm all over the NFTs. It's been a bit of an obsession, and Justin's, like many people around me now, will tell you I've been talking about NFTs a lot.
Well, and so part of it leads me to believe, and it's funny how this timing is with this whole with recording a podcast today and a package I got in the mail when I got up this morning, which was from Kevin Eastman Studios.
Yes.
It's one of his first original comic books that was done back in the day for TMNT, but as a variant for the Last Ronin.
Right.
And so it's a really badass cover, so on and so forth. But then it led me to think about the gift you gave me of Spider-Gwen and Spider-Man and from Kevin Eastman Studios. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's funny. You never came over when it was actually on the wall. Yeah. It was on the wall in the nursery where was my studio originally. And so it was on the wall. And I don't think you ever actually saw it on the wall. You may have.
I don't think so.
When you came for a barbecue or something like that. But it was on the wall there. And I realized we're in the studio now, which I didn't want to put a lot of artwork on the studio wall here because it is a garage and the humidity and all that stuff in there wasn't great. So some of that stuff's stored away. But I was like, oh my gosh, Adam's actually at my house now all the time. And it's not on the wall anymore. And I'm like, I want this to be on the wall. Yep. But then I realized that we talked post-recording a couple of weeks ago, maybe after Disney Plus one, which was there's boxes in here of just stuff that goes on the wall, collectibles. Yeah. I have comic books in the other room that are in white long boxes that you'll never get to see because you don't have space to display them. And something cool about digital collections is that you don't take up any room.
Don't take up any room, but
any more room than this freaking thing.
But as you said,
does.
The problem is, do you own anything digital? And that leads us directly to where we're going today.
Which I can understand why that is. If you go into that really quickly, is what the heck happened with they were saying with Apple. So you buy movies on Apple, right? Yes. You can purchase a movie in $19.99 and you own the movie.
Yep.
And then there was a studio who backed away from selling on Apple, and people went in to look at that movie and it was gone.
Yep.
Because Apple didn't own the rights to distribute the movie anymore. If your computer had connected to the internet and your movie was in your computer, it pulled it from your account saying you don't own this anymore. Yep. And people went up in arms. And in the contract, you accepted the terms and agreements. It said you would lose this movie if we ever lost the contract with that company. So yes, I can understand why someone has the fear of, is it mine?
Is it mine?
Do I own this?
And as a collectible, I mean, because I think you've been collecting for years. I have too, but there's been a large gap for me. I'm just kind of getting back into it now. But the digital thing is like, if you want to trade cards or comics or whatever, like I said, come at me with a JPEG and be like, hey, I'll sell you this JPEG. Nobody's going to do it. So immediate segue, the last 3 weeks and it's been gone, but like, that's all everybody's doing. So what's the difference is it's minted on the blockchain. So Justin can make a piece of art. He can, put it in his digital format that he wants. Yep. We go to one of the many markets that are out there. We create an NFT, or it's very trendy now, a Nifty.
A Nifty. Wow. I like that better than Nifty.
I do too.
Non-fungible
tokens. And like I said, which is a terrible name. So just say Nifties.
Yes.
And
you get that sold.
And when you mint it, it says, like, it puts it on the blockchain, the distributed ledger. It shows the moment it's created, who created it, how many created. And then, either maybe you paid for the mint, and so you actually own it's never even been sold. It's directly minted. Or you buy it on the secondary market. But either way, there's always a chain of ownership. The artist did create this. They did mint it the moment you bought it. It is yours. And are there a bunch of questions there?
Well, sure. So the first question I come up with, and when I hear this is, what is stopping me from taking that photo, that JPEG, and doing another blockchain with another thing and making it so that I can sell it 15 times? So you're collecting your collectible is really almost worthless because it's the whole Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card thing that they made like 1 million cards, which made it worthless because it was 1 million of them out there. And then one of the big things, who was the Skrelly? Who's the guy that the guy who raised the prices on the insulin years ago? He bought the Wu-Tang Clan. Was it Wu-Tang? That they sold, made one physical copy of the album and they sold it for like $1 million. And it was literally, he was the only one that ever heard, other than the band and the producers, that actually heard these songs and owned the album. Well, What's stopping them from, like, not stopping them, but like, couldn't they have made a couple more and like friends and family have them and all of a sudden that nowhere? So what's stopping that from happening? That's the question. That's the only thing I would ever come up with. But again, here's the deal. If I buy a comic book and it says it's 1 of 50, there could be 100. I don't know. No. You have to trust the person who's purchasing it.
And I think that's to the point. I mean, so then there's, I mean, like I said, again, this is, I think, the confusion going on right now. The full disclosure to that question is I have no idea what stops someone from right-clicking and saving your art and then selling it again.
Correct.
Right? Eventually, I imagine we'll get some kind of regulatory
I mean, there is websites that stop you from right-clicking. Yes. So there is that simple technology.
But ultimately, I mean, it's, I guess this is one of those ones with cryptocurrency too, is why there's a record that says it. That's why. And everybody then collectively agrees that is an original piece and we trade with it. Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things you were joking, like arguing with our parents. Like, I hate to burst everybody's bubble, but NFTs, cryptocurrency, and the US dollar are all just a belief.
Yes.
They're just a
trusting
thing
that it works.
They're just a thing we believe in. And if we believe, it works. And, if it doesn't.
First of all, I found this the other day. It was a $50 bill, right? I just trust that tomorrow I'm going to go spend this for $50 and that the bank's not immediately going to be like, oh, sorry, it's only worth $25.
Certainly will work. Yep. Almost guaranteed.
Oh, and I trust that it's real.
Yep.
Like, actually, it's real. Like, people make fake money. So it's the same thing with that blockchain, though, is what I will say is, are you against my point about how do you know if it's the only one is they're date stamped too.
Yep.
So if you look back and say, I only sold one of these things, and you look back and it's the oldest one, which means that someone else stole the image or tried to manipulate the system, those other ones would have to be the ones to be refunded or whatever, and then this would be the only one. But again, so I bought comic books from Ben Bishop the other day. This is 1 of 400, and I think I know he ordered 450 or 500, but that was mainly because if he mailed it to someone's house and it got damaged, he wanted to be able to replace it. So it is. They're not going to be selling 500. Sure. It's 1 of 400 available to the public.
Yep.
And so,
or for instance, you'll often see, like, they'll say a collection will mint 1,000 avatars, right? And there's both. Some of them they'll hold back and distribute to the team as payment, as a reward, or sometimes the ones that once they're starting to sell their art, they'll buy back those ones. So I mean, there's different ways to hold back comics and give them away, or not comics, collectibles in general on the blockchain.
So basically, just for, again, novice to boil it down to it, an NFT or a Nifty or this stuff on the blockchain is a digital asset that you're collecting. So I'm collecting a digital trading card or a digital comic book or a photo or what's his face sold his first tweet. Yep. So he blockchained that first tweet technology.
You can tie a Nifty to a physical object.
Yeah.
As an authenticity token stamp. Comics, I think you're going to see that.
So I'm going to do a little bit more of the Adam is full in. Like, Adam is dove full force
against all better judgment.
And I have dabbled in it, and I'm working on it. Adam and I talked about eventually sitting down and going over it. I haven't purchased an NFT yet, but I want to, and at some point, and so on. So I'm going to play the devil's advocate here and go against you. And part of it is one of the reasons why Spider-Man's, again, I'm going to do a lot of comic book things because, again, I'm big into comic books anyway, but like Amazing Fantasy 15 is worth so much money. It's because back when that comic book was made, people just threw them away. Or comic book stores, if you didn't sell them, you rip the cover off, you put them in an envelope, sell it back to the manufacturer, and they send you back credit for that comic book because you didn't sell it.
Yep.
Now, different story. Comic book store buys the comic books. They own all the comic books. You cannot mail them back to Marvel and be like, oh, I didn't sell any of these Spider-Mans. Sorry. They go into your dollar bin or whatever it may be. But one of the reasons why that comic book is worth so much money is because they, over the years, have been destroyed and they've been dropped. Or they've been so the question then becomes, how do these go up in value? How do they go down in value? If they're digital and they can't go anywhere and they are backed up by things, there won't ever be a time where there are less because it's digital.
So there's all that, and so now we step into like, and this part's wild. Justin's been hearing me talk about it because like we've had, I'm trying to think with the exact, we've had Nifties since 2017, maybe 16, something like that. But the idea had been around. Yeah. The first ones that came out, everybody saw were CryptoPunks. Yes. We've been hearing about them. They're worth a fortune, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, how are they? So there's lots of ways. So the big thing now is the thing right now, kind of in the Nifty space, is algorithmically generated avatars. Basically an artist, either digitally or by hand, creates just millions of potential variations of an avatar based on all these component parts that they drew or created. When you mint that piece, the algorithm uses all the modifiers and to pick parts and put them together, and you get a piece that's completely unique. Because say this collection, they released 10,000, but that meant that there were 800 million possible things. Once the minting's over, those 10,000 are what exist. But now the value, part of it is the new thing is these avatars are way more than avatars. So first of all, their membership into a community. And a lot of the better ones do a lot of stuff, contests and weekly things and fun chats and movie nights and poker nights and these crazy things. And so that beefs the value up. But then you've also, some of them say, well, which one of the ones lately? So governance tokens, right? Which mean this is another idea of crypto. Eventually these clubs or anywhere up to any market or anything can become a decentralized autonomous organization. It's run by token holders who are staked, and they use their governance tokens, and there's no central authority. That's really also at the big heart of crypto. So in these communities, you get that same thing. So say you wanted governance tokens, right? One way they'll do that is say, cool, burn 3 of your NFTs and we'll give you a governance token. And people do, because those governance tokens are huge. That's how the whole thing operates. But to do it,
you have to get rid of it something
forever. I mean, if it was in the physical world, the club would say, all right, we'll give you voting rights. You got to burn your Spider-Man comic. And same exact thing. And so you less and less and less. But some people see, say a collector says, I got a lot of money, these are all garbage ones, I'm going to buy them all and burn them. And then so say they buy the 10 cheapest, jankiest ones there, and then burn the ones, and they burn. Now theirs goes up because the value of it, because it's not there. But
also it's like, I can understand that too. Like when Todd McFarlane took over Spider-Man, they made Spider-Man #1 again, and they made 1 million copies. Because they had to put it out to the world. They have to get it out to every comic book store. So with NFTs, you just have to get it on a website, and the entire universe can actually get a universe. The world can get to it, and so you can only have to create 10. Whereas maybe back when they create a new comic book or a new trading card, they're only going to create 10 instead of 1,000, because 10 is not going to work. And any printed thing, 10 is not going to work, because where do you put those 10?
And say let's give an example. You said, say Ben Bishop says, I'm going to release 100 really cool NFT art pieces. And let's say it's all the same piece. And he says, I'm going to mint 100 of them. 42 people come in and mint them. He says 24 more hours, I'm shutting it down. That's the only 42 of those that will ever exist. But he didn't have to print the other 66 of them. And so that's kind of cool too. And like I said, this is all so rapidly evolving. It's weird. I mean, like the way I said, these burns. And real quick example for people, like CryptoPunk's the big one. The second wave that just started with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is a collection of 10,000 algorithmically generated hand-drawn apes. Ties into aping in with like the GameStonk and all that stuff. So that one came out, everything exploded, and so then this just deluged. There's thousands of generative NFT projects now. Almost all of them will be nothing, but there's one that I got really into, Lonely Alien Space Club. They're a really big one, super active community. I have a couple of those. They're funny, but part of their plan and their roadmap is once they get their payout from the first round of secondary sales, or maybe it was their minting sales, doesn't matter. They're going to take 50% of their initial sales. They're going to buy all of the floor level aliens left and burn them all. So that's another way they say, because what they're saying is like, we're seeing no interest in these ones. Let's get rid of them. So that's another mechanism. So, but mostly I would tell people, like anybody getting into the NFT space, especially on Ethereum, like make sure the community is strong and active and engaged and willing to talk to you. Make sure their Twitter is up to date and posting. And if you ask questions and they don't answer, be done with it, man. That's like, these are very active, engaged communities. And if they're not engaging with you,
this is their thing. This is their livelihood in a sense. This is what they're doing. So if they're not responding, it's not like it's not like when I don't respond on Facebook because I'm dealing with the customer in person.
No, they're getting ready to make hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially. And
that's the same thing I always say about freaking Kickstarters. If it's a Kickstarter you're loving, you message them and they don't message you back, do not back that Kickstarter.
No, remember, you are investing your money in them.
That unbelievable. Oh my God, this thing's gonna, my whole house is gonna be like inflatable and deflate whenever I want it to. Yeah, that's not possible. So don't back that. But yes. So the question for me, again, a more novice, why I even got into crypto or stocks or anything like that, is something like Robinhood, which again, a lot of people hate and shit on because of their whole thing they did back in the day with the GameStop thing we won't get into.
I use Robinhood, full disclosure.
Yes, but so I like it, and it's easy. Yeah. That's the thing. So is there? I know you said Ethereum, but like I know you use you've done Topps trading cards, you've done things like that. Is it easy now, or is it gonna get easier for me to just be like, hey, I'm just gonna purchase this trading card?
And perfect segue, because now this is what Justin and I talked about, because that's the reality. If we the blockchain NFT thing is wildly confusing. Mm-hmm. It makes no sense to anybody, and even the people in it kind of understand it because we don't know what it's going to become. So what Justin's talking about too is this, like, we got to make it more accessible, and that wave is coming.
Okay.
And that is going to be, I mean, it's like, it's on. The big companies are in, they are not in as much of a rush. It's why right now it is fun, probably a good time to get some early art before this explodes, if you want to. I mean, I'm not telling you to go buy art. But Vive is a big one. Okay. They're coming out. They've partnered with Marvel.
Okay.
So that one we don't even have to discuss. Vive is going to be a wild success. And if you love Marvel, like, and Vive is a blockchain. And to be brutally honest with you, search it. I don't know if it's a public blockchain. Blockchains can be private. Okay. That's a thing to always research. Because then you would be back to a bit of a trust system. You have to trust that Marvel's going to manage that blockchain. Odds are they're going to.
Well, it's like back to the digital movie thing. It's like I buy a digital movie from someone. I have to trust someone that the digital movie, when I press play, that it's going to play because it's on the internet and it's on a server somewhere. And when you go on and watch Loki, and you're expecting Disney Plus to work.
Yes, and for anybody listening, it absolutely may be a public blockchain. I just don't know. But to make the transition, so Justin's saying right now, the others Vive, we're going to have some other ones coming out. The big one that it's actually where I got started with NFTs. Like the Ethereum space has been for about a month now for me. But for months before that, I was playing around on the Wax blockchain. That's the World Asset Exchange. I think it's based in Scandinavia somewhere.
Not United States.
And they built theirs from the ground up for collectibles, cards, and games. They don't do currencies. No. They don't. They do art. I mean, that's same exact as collectible. It is a super easy interface. Mm-hmm. They created a system where basically, I mean, signing up for one of their wallets takes seconds. Learning it takes seconds. Now the question, people will be like, yeah, but I keep hearing a lot about, like, right now scams with the NFTs are like all the rage. It's so easy to scam people. And so Wax they don't have a cold wallet, which we don't need to get into, but my big one with them is they're one of my favorites. If you get one, they have second factor authentication in the settings. Anything you do in crypto, at the very least, always have second factor authentication turned on, which is just, Google Authenticator usually works just fine for multiple apps. Authy, AUTHY, is the best one I've found. I have probably 50 accounts that use that.
Oh, cool.
Second factor authentication, for the most part, you're pretty unhackable. And, so I would say if you want to try right now anything that's blockchain Nifty related, go get a Wax account. It's a Chrome browser extension for your wallet. Turn on the second factor authentication with your phone and you'll be totally secure. And unlike these like 8 million digit long things, your address is like 5 digits long. Cool. It'll grow as more people join. But Topps is partnered with them. They've released their first season of baseball cards. They've released Garbage Pail Kids. There's the biggest blockchain decentralized gaming app in the world is on Wax blockchain. That's Alien Worlds. There's a bunch more. And Funko just officially signed with Wax. And actually, for you guys, they dropped their first collection tomorrow. It's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's like, that one's probably one of the bigger things right now. So I would say if you're into collectibles and you want to start, Wax is easy. Funko Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is going to be fun no matter what. But that's is just find an easy one and enjoy it. Yeah. That was the gateway drug for me, was playing with crypto. But once I started messing with the other part of the world, then I was in, man.
Well, I mean, if you think back to when I will think back at it, when I was in grade school and I was getting on the bus in Kittery, Maine, and we were trading basketball cards. Like, you trade basketball cards, you trade Pokemon cards, things like that. It was like, that was the community I was with, was the people on the bus.
Yes.
Like, I don't have a community right now. I have you, myself, Uriah at work is into basketball, into collectibles and things like that. I've got Paul who's into comic books and things like that. You're into comic books. But there's not, like, I don't have like this big group of people that are like into this thing. So I don't have this. And let's be honest, we're all in it. We're like in it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would not be trading as much with these people because we're all so far into it.
Exactly.
You need to find the people that are on the fringe.
Right.
That are like,
and you're the more likely to be attached to what you have. You
Correct.
don't want to trade it. Like,
but with a digital asset, it's like the entire world is my trading partner. And so like anybody who's in that, I say the world, but anybody who's in that blockchain, I can trade easily, and it's like it's so simple to do if you make it simple to do. If that makes any sense.
Yes.
If it's as simple as I could literally go on here right now and buy more Bitcoin.
It is, and to go back to what I just said, and that's a really great way to kind of frame it too. Interestingly, what we're seeing, especially within this generative avatar space within the NFTs, is really people are trying to create community, and we are really dealing right now with this like, emergence of the digital world, and people go like but we've never actually had a fully digital world. That space is just starting to be explored, and that's really dependent on things like Web 3.0, where there's no barriers digitally. And that part's exciting. What made me think of it for you is like, so a lot of people, they're buying, it doesn't even matter if it's one of the NFTs that's going to be super, valuable down the road. But what their research has shown them is like, if I buy this NFT and like, then I get to join this Discord server, and these guys do stuff all the time. Like every Thursday is a movie watch night. And like you said, though, I also love comic books. We can go in the off topic channel and we can talk comic books. And I mean, I think post pandemic, people are like just crying out for community, and this is this is a way to do it. I mean, I've talked more to people in the past 3 weeks than I probably have in the last 10 years of my life.
This is the Bish box. I want a Bish Kid Bish box. That came in this week, and I did a review on it and stuff like that. I gotta put my stuff away. But this is you talk about the Discord thing is. I'm not super active in it. Like I'm not like in it all the time.
Sure, no, right.
It's a family on that. And so with the Discord stuff is I have a subscription every month. I pay a fee to get part of the subscription. Every quarter I get a box with one of a kind collectible things in it. And here's the deal. It could be a year from now, 2 years from now, Ben's doing the same thing, and you get the box and a NFT. Or the box is NFT itself. So there's a blockchain to that box and so on. But there's a Discord that people have communication, and we talk, and someone's like, happy birthday, man. Oh, someone had a kid, or someone's in the hospital or whatever. He does like auctions, drawings, like it's stuff like that. Like, you can enter a drawing and so on. So it's like the Discord stuff is such a cool thing to be part of a community and to be that someone you're collecting something that's digital and to be able to share. One of the things, the coolest thing about, I just showed that box up. One of the coolest things about collecting things is showing other people those things.
And you hit on, and I guess that's what if like I got through to anybody today is the thing, like crypto is not one thing. It's a multitude of things, and you're doing a disservice if you're not trying the fun parts of it, because the investment financial parts of it are also very exciting, and the underlying tech is very, very exciting too. But this is a full digital world that's being developed. So like if you like art, check that space out. If you like video games, check that space out. If you like poetry, NFT crypto poetry right now is the rage. But like there's probably a thing now that's new and exciting and vibrant in NFTs that you like. And go find it. The communities right now are like dying for people. And if you remember, and you're a little younger than me, but you remember those early days of the internet. How wild is that we remember that?
Yes. I can taste it. I can taste it, but I can smell the room and the computer you're
sitting at. If you can remember that mid-90s thing, right? We're there right now. Like, I promise you we're in the exact same thing right now. And if you can think back to those mid-90s internet days, you and me playing with them, everybody thought we were nuts. Internet was stupid. Internet commerce is stupid. I just read this article from the mid-90s the other day where they were like, nobody will ever buy things on the internet. This is the stupidest idea. We're there right now. And this blows internet out of the water. This is decentralized world computing stuff. This is wild.
And why would a company itself not want to join in on this either? Why wouldn't Marvel or Funko do this? Because guess what? This is a Funko Pop right here. This is a Stan Lee. It's a police officer. It costs them way more to make and manufacture and get these into your hands as a blockchain digital version of
you'll love this. So the new Funko one's coming out. It's just it's if you go to Wax Blockchain, which I love, this is a whole nother thing. This weird NFT crypto space is like, it's a collision of crypto investing, video games, and art. And that is a wild bunch of people to get together. And like within the Wax world, which is a bit more gaming based, everything's based on that kind of RPG World of Warcraft model where you have like common, rare, epic, legendary, mythical items. So when these Funkos come out, what they're getting into is digital trading cards, right? They have 3D images. The rare ones are just like Donatello.
Yeah.
But the ultra epic is him like, you know, moving around
Yeah.
and fighting. But what they've also added on, this is what I think is crazy, is if you collect the entire collection, there's a physical Funko that you can only get by collecting the entire digital, and they'll send it to you. It's built into the thing, but it's also, it's blockchained as well. So like somebody else can buy it, but you're the only one that ever earned that one by collecting the entire collection. So
and that's where I can see Funko or Marvel or Topps or any of these companies that have collectible items in the first place. McFarlane Toys. Like I see that would be cool in the future.
Funko is the first one, man, that I feel like is they've got an idea of how this is going to work, which is people still want the collectibles, but what if we make getting them more difficult so that when you get, like if you got that Master Spider-Man collectible, that would mean something to you because you had to work to get that collection.
Well, they tried that a little bit in the action figure market with the back when Guardians of the Galaxy came out and Infinity War and all that stuff. It was you bought the action figure and it came with an arm.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
Another action figure came with a leg, and you had to buy all the action figures that put all those pieces together, and it created the thing. And inevitably, if you go on eBay, you can just buy the thing.
Yes.
Because someone else did it multiple times and put them all together and sold the big thing for way more than it should be. Same thing could happen with this.
Exactly.
Exact same thing could happen with this. But again, there's never if I bought this thing on eBay, there's no digital proof that says someone else earned this. Someone else did. The second I bought it from them and they gave it to me, that's it. There's no more proof that this person did any of that hard work. There's a receipt on eBay that they sold it to me, but that doesn't mean they put all the work in. You know, so this digital blockchain thing is kind of cool with having the collecting all those things together. And plus, here's the deal. You know, I'm kind of glad I thought about it as you were speaking, and I kind of wish they did it with comic books where it's like 1 and 5, 1 through 5. And your local comic book store is in charge of tracking to make sure you bought those 5.
Yeah.
And there's a 6th comic book that you get because you bought all 5. That would be cool. But then you have to collect and you have to physically own and put on a shelf all 5 plus the new one. So with the digital part of that, you only get to have 1 Funko Pop, but you collected all 6 digital cards, and you're only storing 1 item in your physical world.
And I'm thinking as you say that now, the other thing that's going to be so interesting to see, and comics are really a good place for it, trading cards as well, but the people I think that are going to initially really utilize this technology too are going to find out a way to marry their physical space to that, because a lot of people aren't going to access this online. It's just the reality. You and I've talked about it because like I love crypto and I love NFTs. I've been doing this for a while now too. And even I can still get scammed, and even I can screw up addresses, and I have to be super, super careful. The odds of screwing things up are honestly pretty good.
Yeah.
Unless you know what you're doing. So I get why. So I think if we get these spaces where like I can come in and you say to me, "Oh, comics, blah blah blah. Hey man, have you ever checked out the NFT line?" And I'm like, "No way, dude." And you could say, "We actually got this kiosk. I'll help you set up a wallet and show you how to collect. You can do it here." And because I said it's that thing of it's too new, and we can move past it then to really. And the big future with this space that's open and being discussed is virtual reality.
Also, like virtual reality, almost experiences that you could buy through blockchain that you really only get that experience.
Web 3.0 wants a lot of experiences
that would be cool.
to be accessed through VR.
Well, just think about that. Someone recorded or talks to you live even through VR.
Yeah.
And it's experience that you only can. It's the only every time he's ever going to do that, or
and
that person's going to do that.
Like subtle but massive differences. Imagine you go on, you go to Marvel's website or something, and they've got a new thing, and you're really interested. Put it on your VR. You're not just seeing this new collection, but it's wild, like Spider-Man swinging around in the background. But also, a person can walk up to you and be like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, any questions about the new collection?" And you're having a real conversation with an avatar of a person, and which is really weird too, because the generative avatar space is aware of that. Like, people are going to need digital selves.
Yes.
And my digital self is an alien with a chef hat. That's how serious things are right now.
But think about if you think to the world of Comic-Con, if you go on the comic things, is digital experiences buying an NFT of an experience at Comic-Con in San Diego, but sit at your house on VR.
Yes.
You actually get to talk and ask questions at Hall H. Like, okay, Marvel's selling 2 spots, front row to Hall H for this panel, and you get to ask questions, and you're a VR person.
Exactly.
And now you have a blockchain that proves that you were there. It's almost like a ticket.
Yep.
And a history of recording of the whole thing, and you can go back and experience the whole thing over again. I'm thinking things like places that you can't get into as the public.
Sure.
Like the Fort Knox, not the Fort Knox in Maine, but Fort Knox, the gold, the reserve. That someone you get an one of a kind experience where you can VR yourself in the actual vault that you're never going to be allowed to do ever.
And that's one for any of you out there that really want to check that out. That's very easy too. Decentraland is probably the most well known. That's a blockchain based decentralized virtual world. It's free. You can go right now, jump in. You don't have to buy anything. You just have to have a wallet.
And so I think back on the trying to make it easy thing, I think what hopefully we'll see in the future is these things where if you think back, just something simple like PayPal, for an example, it's like when you go to a website, it says you can pay with PayPal.
Yes.
And like you're partnering with a payment company to pay through this other company. I know Midtown Comics, for example, like I could pay with my credit card with a PayPal button. Is that the future would be is that you don't have to go to the Wax website, but I go to Marvel.com or a Marvel app, and I go through and they have the NFT section, and maybe they come up with their own cool name for it or whatever. But you click on it, and then you have all these options, one of a kind things, $1 million, honestly, $1 million options and things like that you click on, and then in there it says we've partnered with Wax. And you go through the whole payment processing and everything, all that stuff is on Marvel or the Marvel app.
And that also is the big talk of the next kind of round of crypto is we have to reach a point that the blockchains are interoperable. So like you said, I can come into whatever OpenSea, it doesn't matter, but like I don't have to have Ethereum. I can have Ethereum, I can have Bitcoin, I can have Dogecoin, I can have.
I don't know how quickly that's gonna happen. We still can't do. How long did it take for PlayStation and Xbox to play on the same network?
Oh God, are they?
Exactly. That's my point. It's like you can't cross. We can't cross.
You can't cross.
Same exact game. Same exact.
Yeah.
Nope. Sorry, you can't do that. So no, but I think it will because I think it's more collaborative anyway. I think it's more. I think everybody has their own thing, and I know there is different things in like cryptocurrency, for example, like Ethereum and Bitcoin and stuff. But that's no different than buying. Kronas in Iceland and Canadian dollars and US dollars. They're just different.
And that would be where I say that interoperability, right? Is so Bitcoin doesn't have a built-in machine component to it that can process code and then use smart contracts. But it doesn't mean that in an interoperable chain, I wouldn't be able to spend my Bitcoin to buy something that would then be on the Ethereum blockchain. What I think, again, to simplify it for people, and kind of the reason we had talked about it before this today is, we're both comic book fans, both huge Marvel fans, Justin especially. So for a lot of our fans, I think, like I said, check out Vive. It's an app on the iPhone, which is also huge. VEVE.
Sorry.
Yep. And people, there's a debate there. People are like, yeah, that's great, but like, Web 3.0 is web-based. What about, and I imagine Vive is also web-based, but for a lot of you that are more hesitant and would feel more comfortable within an app environment, because like Apple and Android, they've vetted the apps and stuff. Vive is just, it's not going to feel any different to you than any other app. You go in, you buy collectibles from Marvel, what's out there now, Ghostbusters. DC's also signed on to Vive. Vive is now the official partner of Comic-Con. I think Vive's going to be around. But their app's cool. Like you go into theirs, you buy everything. It's real simple, but it's on the blockchain, and they have the 3D component built in already from day one. So like you can put your little skateboard up on the wall and see it.
That's huge, I think, for the future. Your man cave. I hate to say man cave is a sexist, but like your cave.
Apple's next big project soon is VR. And so I think we can say by the time all these guys are entering this like crypto VR space, there's a future to it.
Because you and I could sit down, you put the VR glasses on, and be, hey, look at my collectibles.
And I'm not going to say, I don't know if it'll happen, man. I was rocking the VR in the arcades back in like the mid 90s. I just read that stuff was high tech. Didn't catch on yet though.
Here's my brilliant idea. It's probably already been thought about at these manufacturers and these companies is digital signing tables for your digital assets. So I put the VR glasses on.
Absolutely.
The signee. So like you have your Todd McFarlane's, put their glasses on. You now walk up at the table with your digital NFT.
And that signature is blockchain stamped.
It's blockchain in there, and he actually is virtually signing things. He has a pad that he's signing. So then you pull your comic book that you're hanging on the wall there, and it's signed by Todd McFarlane. It's blockchain. That was signed at this time. It was, you bought the NFT separately.
Or
the thing.
So simply, it means you might be onto something here, man. But so don't steal this idea.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly. All it's
but
me,
say
like, I don't have the effort to do it anyway.
But say what happens is, like I remember I mentioned before, stuff where you could like burn and combine or whatever. Or say this contract is, you go up, you talk to him, the transaction happens in that virtual space, and what it does is it adds his actual signature to your comic book that's stamped. It is a different thing now if you've combined them. But it's way more rare now.
Yes.
Like way more rare because you did digitally, physically have to go to that space. And do that, yeah. I mean, that's a great example.
Ask him a question.
That's what this is going to do.
Todd McFarlane's VR avatar takes a picture with your VR. So you have a VR now avatar photo with you, so you could even be an alien.
And this is the thing you'll hear in the crypto world too.
The real Ready Player One type world.
There's a core to this crypto thing that's very, very, very well intentioned, and we all know because we live in the world that it's very easily it's going to be manipulated. It's going to be taken advantage of. But the idea with crypto is that things are decentralized. Like you said, they're accessible. Mm-hmm. I mean, stuff like Comic-Cons are fun. Most people can't ever afford to go to one. Or how cool would it be to go to the California Comic-Con and experience the whole thing in VR?
Yes, exactly.
Right? And
just walk around
and meet people. And that would be but my thing now, that sounds cool to you. Now imagine being in like, I don't know, Thailand.
Yes.
Where I only mentioned Thailand because NFTs are like all the rage there right now. And saying like, man, to get to Comic-Con would cost a fortune, but boom, I'm there at Comic-Con. Like that's concerts. The exciting. Concerts,
basketball games,
accessibility, equality, and decentralization are at the core of like the real crypto movement. Because as we've said, and this is a great. Are we getting close to the end here? Should I wrap it up? Yeah, that's a great point. It's like that's what we're. I mean, there really is a good heart to this of people that are trying to create a thing that more people can participate in.
Yes,
because the majority of finances in the world are not open to the. The numbers are shocking. How many people can't access a bank? They can't preserve their wealth. They can't own anything because their life might be too volatile. Mm-hmm. But on blockchain, you can. And you can create these systems where your starting point doesn't keep you from entering.
Correct.
And so I said, it's not going to the space isn't going to be like that overall. But there is a part to it that's that.
And that's why cryptocurrency has also been very popular in some of these countries that are countries that people maybe have to flee immediately. So they flee the country and their currency is not worth anything in another country.
Yep.
But if they have Bitcoin, they can spend their Bitcoin anywhere in the world. As long as you have that private key. And I know that's what scares people. But the thing is, for that person, right? Say like for me, my ultimate key, the one that goes to my ultimate cold wallet, right? To get that key, it's imprinted in metal between two pieces of stainless steel that are screwed together. It takes forever to get open, but I can carry it anywhere. Yes, I could lose it and I'm screwed. Yes.
But for people that are living in these areas where it's already impossible, as long as I can hold on to that piece of metal that is temperature proof, I mean, it's basically apocalypse proof. And I have that money.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes. And the market's volatile right now anyway, but it's like massively volatile. Like you would
volatile.
If you didn't have a lot of money, you would have half that money right now because it's that bad.
Yeah. Here's Justin's and I's financial advice. Don't go buy.
Actually, our financial advice is buy all the cryptocurrency you can right now.
Right.
Because it's low. Actually, you don't know if you see Ethereum. Ethereum's up too. We're not going to go too far into it.
But mine for most people now, and this is a good place to end, is like, that's all great. If you're nervous about it though, like just go have fun with it for a minute.
It's almost back to where I bought into Ethereum.
Hey, look at that. It's probably us.
It's exactly. It's up 7% right now.
The market is anticipating our podcast coming out.
Yeah, it's up 3%. It's up $75, which is crazy. But again, you look at this and say that I'm up about $22 total on my stocks and in my crypto, and I guarantee you tonight when I go to bed tonight, I'm going to be back to $22 down.
I don't even look at it anymore right now.
I don't know why. I don't know why I do.
Right. So to lead to so don't worry about that.
Exactly.
Go to the Wax blockchain or Vive or something. Don't even right now. You know what? Don't even go on the Ethereum stuff. No. You got to learn a little bit first.
Yes.
But Wax, Vive, go buy trading cards. Be a kid. Act stupid. Trade pictures of aliens with people. Don't do it because you're expecting it to be worth $100,000 like the crypto punks. Mm-hmm. Buy it because it's fun. Jump into the community. And like that's my thing. I think is if you can find a way to enjoy it, you'll quit being scared of it.
Yes.
So,
like I said, once it becomes way more easier, i.e., Robinhood for stocks,
right. At which point you won't even know it's blockchain anymore.
No, you won't even. It won't matter. It will. You again. You'll put the trust in someone who was putting the trust in the blockchain, which inevitably you're putting the trust in the blockchain,
which is distributed world ledger. So
yes, it definitely. I think it's. I was when you talked about this whole collectible thing. I said at first I was like, but then I'm like, I mean, I am a person who reads a lot of digital comic
Yes.
books, but I also like to physically hold on to
Yes.
something. But if a lot of these companies that I'm going to talk about collectibles wise, example Marvel or Funko or whatever,
Sure.
and there's a prize, quote unquote,
Yes.
to the end of it that you buy all these things and you get this special thing, or you get it digitally, but you also get it in physical print or whatever. Those are the kind of cool things that I think in the future I will be probably going into. And again, to go back to this whole having a baby thing, I lost my room. I lost my my office, and so I lost my ability to put up things on the wall. Right now, I think I have on the wall. I have an old license plate. I have a piece of cloth, and I have a couple posters that don't mean anything to me. The rest of the stuff is put away because I don't want to ruin things. And if I had it digitally, it'd be awesome because I could potentially work with Zoom.
And what I was just going to say is another thing, like you're pointing at the TV. If you love art and the space is your issue, get a really nice digital frame. Put every NFT you own on it.
And have it rotate.
And it'll just change on one frame, all your art.
Or even here, like the digital aspect. I'm talking to you and you know like you have the background. You can change the background on things. As the background is now all, they're not just a background. It's a digital, I think
next time we podcast, I'm going to have to bring a digital frame in with little NFTs just switching over here.
But like those are the kind of cool things. You could put it on you could potentially, in your VR, pose for your Facebook profile picture in your room with all your collectibles behind you, and they're all digital. You don't physically have them in your hands, but you're in a picture with it. You can hang out in that room, put your VR glasses on, and just, hey Adam, we're gonna hang out, and watch TV, but you put your VR glasses on so you can watch the TV, but you look around and there's Amazing Fantasy number 15 up on the wall, and those kind of things.
And I'm thinking, I think we can do it. Well, I know you can do it, but when you go to listen to the podcast, we can put links in. I can make a quick video to show you how to sign up for a wax wallet that eliminates all the, and I can put up some examples of my NFTs to show you what I'm.
You just want to show them off.
That's all I want. I'm gonna put my link to my virtual gallery. I really am. You can walk around and look at them.
Well, which is fun. Which is one of the reasons why you collect things. One of the reasons why collectors collect things is because eventually the hope and the praying that the item will be worth way more than you paid for it.
Or because we're giant nerds and we like to play with them.
Or you're hoarders, which is, any collector is a hoarder. That's honestly just barely a hoarder, but that's just you are when you just want to hold, you want more.
Yes.
It's just insane. But yeah, so that the idea of being able to show it off is to me is one of the biggest things. Is why Yeah.
I think let's just necessarily get some time. We should do a part 2 to this because there's more. There's intellectual property rights and the fact that now you actually own that piece of art. You can put it on a T-shirt, like my ones that I own that are that kind. I can make them my brand, my company if I want to. That's interesting, but that's a whole other story.
Absolutely, yeah. We don't need to go. No. We don't need to nerd too hard
part
on
2,
this, but we also
we'll do that.
We gotta wrap this up. So
so
you can check that out. Veve VEVE on the App Store and the Google Play Store. And just Google NFT. See some of the cool ones. Actually, what I've done before too, I just found to Google the most highly paid, like what someone paid the most for an NFT.
Yes.
Those are out there. Like I said, Jack. His name's Jack, the guy who founded Twitter, sold his tweet.
Oh God, yeah.
And so all that stuff is kind of cool. There's some other people sold some cool things. The guy sold the first ever the code to the World Wide Web.
Yes.
And so those are kind of cool. You can purchase those kind of things. Things that were never for sale.
Yeah.
And you never ever were able to physically buy something that came. And we're in a world of digital creations nowadays. That everything's digital. And the same thing with iPads. All these artists are drawing our digital art.
Oh God.
And so now you take the digital art and you sell the original. You obviously sketch over it and draw it in for having an actual piece. But then you now have the actual digital art that you started with all the mistakes or edits on it or all that stuff. You can sell the digital art as an NFT.
Exactly.
Too. So it's letting these people, these companies and these other things, it's the future. It's the next thing. It's when and think back on it. This is the new trading card. Which how many years and years and over 100 years now we've been doing trading cards. Think about back to the old Babe Ruth cards and things like that. It's insane.
And this is, like I said, and it's also it's the future of the web.
Yeah.
So even if you don't like it, maybe try to learn a little bit about it because I'm pretty sure it's an unstoppable trend.
Correct.
At this point.
And then if you have a little extra cash and you buy into some of these things and just hold on to them, it's the same thing. Our grandparents and great grandparents tried to do too. Is buy a couple things hoping that it'll be worth something down the line, and they just held onto it in a box, and all of a sudden you're going through the attic and you're like, holy shit. Same thing will happen with these. Is you stumble in, you get handed down 20 years after your grandparents died. Years from now is their blockchain or their Bitcoin thing, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I had this thing in here. So it would be
exactly
kind of cool.
And the thing is, like, just buy what you like.
Yes.
If it's something you like, it's always going to have value to you.
What I will tell you right now, the last thing I will say is on that is only buy what you like.
Yes.
Stop collecting things. Do not buy if you have all the money in the world. do what you want. I don't care.
But if you
have a limited number of dollars to spend on something, buy and collect things. Even if you're hoping it turns into something worth some money, only buy and collect things that you know you're going to like. Because if it drops in value, you're not going to be very happy with something you
Which
don't
goes
like.
back to my checkout wax. You can easily get into a card for 5 cents.
Yep.
And it's probably not going to go up, but you're going to learn blockchain.
And you're going to have
fun.
And
you're going to trade with people.
And that's the thing is, I don't buy comic books nowadays that I wouldn't like to own. Even I buy them because I want them to be worth money at some point, but I don't buy the comic books that I'm never going to read, never going to touch, don't care about because I don't want to have them. So, but yeah,
cool. I guess we should probably wrap this up. Well, I'll say, well, thanks everybody for joining us again, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the Maine State of Mind. Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or watch on YouTube for the video version. And like I said, maybe we'll try to get some links up to some of this stuff.
We can do that. We definitely can do that. Yeah.
And that way you don't have to think through it.
And I might not put it in the. I usually try to put it in the description for the YouTube video and the Spotify and Apple podcast. But maybe this one for this stuff we can just throw on the actual website.
Sure.
So the mainstateofmind.com.
Absolutely.
And you'll find for the episode the NFT Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but NFT digital asset episode.
Yeah.
With all that stuff in it. So. Awesome. That'd be fun. So I'm excited to actually do some stuff, and maybe the next time we do this episode, I'll actually have some, and we'll talk about it, and we can put up on the screen some show so people can watch the episode on that too. So cool, fun.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Yeah, that was fun.
You can buy this digital NFT on.
Yeah, we'll be releasing our NFT.
This episode will be eventually released as an NFT. Yes. So the first time we ever talked about NFTs is going to be released as an NFT.
Yeah,
but
it'll be 1 Ethereum base price.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.